Hi, I'm Kep Kepner, CPA here in Dallas. Let's talk a little bit about debt. Do you think debt is a bad thing? I mean, for some people it is. If you're head over heels in debt, then debt is a bad thing. But let's say you use the debt properly. You use the debt to invest in equipment that lets you double or triple your sales and improve your gross profit. Is that debt bad or is that debt good? Bankers and financial people look very closely at debt. They want to make sure that your debt is not growing faster than your ability to support that debt with profits. So one of the measurements is debt to equity. The equity is the equity that you have in your business. That's the capital you've put in it plus the earnings that you have retained in that business. So let's say that you have $100,000 of equity. So the question would be, what if you had $1 million of debt? Does that make sense to you? I've got a company that only has $100,000 in capital, but I got $1 million in debt. That doesn't make sense. That's not going to make sense to a banker. That's not going to make sense to an investor. So if you need outside investment funds and you have a real poor, which would be a very high debt to equity ratio, you're going to have a hard time getting money because lenders know that if you've got too much debt compared to the capital in your company, then it's going to be hard for you to pay them back. Now maybe you can if they see tremendous growth, not only in sales, but more importantly in gross profit, then maybe you can support a great amount of debt. You know, there are a lot of companies that grow with leverage. Leverage is another term for debt. Okay, if you can leverage what you do by debt, then you have a chance to grow, use all those debt resources to grow your business. As long as the growth in profit and sales outstrips your need for this debt, then you can continue to borrow more and grow based on that. On the other hand, if you can't have that growth, if your profits are not growing fast enough, then the debt becomes a noose around your neck. My aunt used to always say, everybody's got their own bag of rocks. Well, if your rocks are a bunch of debt that you can't get rid of, then you need to change your strategy. So for many companies, if they're over-debted, they need to take a breather. They need to do what they do best for a period of time and pay down their debt. Sometimes that is really hard. I mean, if you're a very growth-oriented business owner, you want to grow, you want to have more business, you want to hire people, you want to add customers, and you don't have enough capital, then you want to borrow that. So it's very hard sometimes if you're growth-oriented to say, wait, I'm going to stay where I am for a while, and I'm going to pay down my debt. I can assure you there are hundreds of examples of companies who are in deep financial distress because they borrowed way too much and misspent the money. Those companies, what happens when they go through bankruptcy is that they end up paying off their debt, sometimes for pennies on the dollar, but very often not for that. So they pay off their debt, they cut their customers down, they don't sell products that are unprofitable. They do all the things that you should be doing with your going business, your profitable business. They do that, but they have to do it under cover of bankruptcy. So if you, on the other hand, look at your products and you say, this product is not profitable, then cut it out. And you say, this customer is way too slow to pay, they're way too much trouble, then don't sell to them. Then you don't need some of that debt that's really buying you heartache and problems instead of really clean business and a lot of profitability. Now, it takes a long time to get there, but if you're in that boat, we can help you. Give us a call.